How's it going, guys? The purpose of the video today is we're just going to do a pre and post trip inspection, and can we just leave it at that? Okay, it doesn't really matter where you start when you do your pre-trip, just as long as you cover every point around the truck. So we'll start in the front. First, I'm going to look underneath and make sure that I don't have any leakage, anything hanging loose. All my lights are good to go. They're on, they're working. My mirrors, they're intact. Check and see for damage on each side. Like, for example, on this side I've got a chip in the mirror. On this side I have some tape on the mirror, so that's something that I would want to ride up. All my clearance lights are good. My visor's okay. Check my windshield, make sure that there's no cracks or visible damage. Okay, now I'm going to check the condition of the lug nuts, the wheel, and the tires. On the lug nuts, you want to make sure that there's at least 3 to 5 threads that you can see on each one. Not every lug nut's going to look like this. Some of them are going to have regular lug nuts. And a good way to tell, besides just looking at the threads alone, is if there's rust residue running down from any one of these. That's a good indicator that you might have a loose lug nut. Check the oil hub, the cap, make sure the cap's on, not leaking. Make sure the wheel itself doesn't have any cracks or bends that are visible. On the sidewall of the tire, you don't want any abrasions, bulges, slices, things like that. You want to make sure you have good tread. Good indicator for your tread is 430 seconds on your steer tires. On your drive tire, on the drive tires in the back, you can have 230 seconds tread depth. But up here you want 430 seconds tread depth, and your PSI needs to be at 110. Now I'm going to check inside the wheel well area and the steering linkage, the U-joints, leaf springs. Make sure there's no defects in the leaf springs. Make sure there's no drippage, no cracked hoses, no chafed hoses. Everything is intact and doesn't look like it's broken or missing. Now I'm moving to the side of the truck. I want to check and make sure that my fuel tank is properly secured with the straps. My steps are bolted on. I want to check my lights on this side, make sure my decals are here, my inspection information is up to date. If it's not here, it could be on the inside of the door jamb, right in here. Make sure my fuel cap is on, tight, not leaking. Make sure my battery box is tight and leaking. If you want to check underneath it, you take them off, you pull the catwalk off here, and you don't want to find any corrosion or disconnected cables. Make sure your grab bar is secured up here, bolted on, tight, no bolts missing or loose. Now I'm going to check for my my air hoses. You've got your red emergency supply line and you've got your blue service line. Make sure your blue is always on the left and your red is always on the right. Your pigtail here for your electrical, make sure it's connected on both sides. I don't want to see any bulges, cracks, fraying, chafing from the catwalk here. See, this should be pinned up a little bit higher so these aren't rubbing here and causing any damage to the air hoses. But make sure they're secured very tight. I also want to check and make sure I have my cones right here. I'll check back in here, make sure there's no leaks coming out of any of the hoses back here, leaks on the ground down behind the drive axle there, or the drive shaft. Looking at the frame, making sure there's no cracks. Looking at all my bolts, making sure they're tight. I can see plenty of threads on them. My leaf springs here is all connected. There's not cracked, broken, or missing. My brake chamber is not leaking. It's not out of adjustment. I want to make sure that my release arm is pushed all the way in. If it's left out, you can drop your trailer. So make sure that it's all the way in. And you need to go around underneath the trailer here with a flashlight. And you want to make sure that you've got your locking jaws all the way around the kingpin. There should be no visible space right there where the locking jaws go around the kingpin there. Now I'm inspecting the inside of the wheel well, the brake drum. I don't want to see any leaks. I want to make sure it's not cracked or any broken parts. I'm inspecting the airbags to make sure that they're full, they're not leaking. they're not damaged. I'm going to give a good visual of my trailer, look for any damage, make sure everything, all my lights are good to go, and if there is any damage, you want to make sure that you report it, because the next guy to do a pre-trip on the truck, if he writes it up, they're going to look at the last guy's pre-trip, and if it's not on yours, and now it is on the next guy's, there might be an issue that you have to deal with that you don't want to deal with. So if you notice any damage on the truck or the trailer, like on the very back edge there, you want to make sure that you write that up on your pre-trip so you cover your own behind. Down here, I'm going to check the landing gear. I want to make sure that it's full, it's all the way up, and it's secured, the handle's secured right there. Don't let the handle hang down back here. Always make sure that it's up, and the landing gear's all the way up. Now I'm inspecting the back of my trailer. I want to inspect all the lights, make sure none are broken or missing or not working. Down here as well. I want to check my ICC bar out, make sure that it's here, it's not bent or damaged heavily. You need red reflective tape going from this side all the way to that side. That's a DOT issue. You can get a ticket for that. So this particular trailer needs to be rode up. No, it has to be from one side to the other, the reflective tape. I want to check in here, make sure I actually do have a ramp. Check the back of the trailer door, make sure it opens and closes freely. Alright, now I'm looking at my curtains. I want to make sure that I have both curtains and they're able to work and close all the way. There's no holes in them, no damage to the curtains. I check my load to make sure that my load is all strapped in and secured. I want to make sure that all my lighting up top works properly, because we're going to be in the dark when we start this. Check the walls for any major damage, because that's also a DOT food safety issue. And now you do the same thing to this side as you did on the other side, but you come down on this side, you got a couple things here. If your ramp is in the side down here, you want to make sure that it's latched tight. Check these latches. Sometimes they're up and it could be popped like that. You want to make sure that every latch, you touch it and you check it all the way around. Check this one as well. It's tight. I'm good to go. All right, now I'm going to check under the hood. I'm going to unlatch on both sides. I'll put one foot right here and I'll grab at the handle and I'll pull it back, straight back. Don't pull it from either side, because you can cause damage. You can cause the fiberglass to break if it slams open, so grab it, make sure you grab it at the handle. Alright, now I'm checking my steering linkage. I want to make sure there's no broken or missing parts on my steering linkage. There's nothing leaking down to the ground. Steering fluid, you've got proper amounts of steering fluid. Checking belts, make sure the belts are not cracked, broken, or missing. My lines inside the engine here, I don't have any broken lines or missing lines, any lines hanging down. My radiator hoses, they're all secured. Fan blade is not broken, cracked, bent, or missing. Now I'm checking my engine oil on this side, my turbo housing unit, my radiator overflow, make sure I've got fluid. While I'm here, I can see the frame. I don't want to see cracks in the frame or any missing bolts. My U-joints, my leaf springs are not cracked, bent, broken, or missing. No, go ahead. I want to make sure all my horns work. My city horn, my air horn. I want to make sure my wipers work and my wiper fluid. You want to check all your air gauges. Make sure that you have 110 to 120 psi. Make sure your fuel's okay, your voltage, your oil pressure and water temperature are not too high. Then you want to fan down your brakes. When you hit about 60 psi, your warning light should come on. And it's on. When you build your air pressure back up,